What an honor it is to be with you this morning, and I don't say that casually or to be nice or to say the right thing at the beginning of a talk. From the from the moment I met Pastor Francis and Rudy, I was rocked by the heart of your church family. And if you're new to the church family and don't know, this church has a huge passion to serve the least of these. This church has a huge passion to serve the immigrant. Thank you, brother. This church has a huge passion. The second meeting I had, I believe I met leaders in your ministry to the disabled. I thought, what an incredible ministry. So many churches want to make an impact in the lives of the disabled. You guys are doing that. So when you hear an invitation like that, hey, come on up and share what your impact is globally, I want you to know you are making a local impact. Your church is making a local impact. But I do want to talk about what the global impact looks like. I have the privilege of serving World Vision. This is my 6th year. Right now, World Vision, if you're not familiar with World Vision, we do global poverty, humanitarian development all over the world in 97 countries. But by God's grace, we're the largest clean water provider on the planet that's not a government. And every water project we do and we develop, we do in the name of Jesus. And I'm going to break down exactly how we do that in the field today. And I'm going to just look. Do we got that first slide up there? This is kind of my life, guys. I take selfies with sponsor kids, all right? That's Mercy and Garvis. They live in Bartabwa, Kenya, where there is a 50% child mortality rate for children before the age of 5 years old. That means every kid between the ages of 1 and 5 has a 50% chance of making it to 5. Mercy and Garvis have both lost family members. Everybody in the community has lost somebody. But they now have clean water, and we were standing next to one of the components of their clean water project in this photo. And the way we do clean water is pretty awesome. So this is Moses. His name is it is Moses, even though when I first went to Kenya, and I was an African studies minor, I was mentored by a man from Nairobi, Kenya, back when I was a violent kid, getting in fights all the time. This is before Jesus, and this man made a huge impact in my life. And later, my dean at the university said, you know what, you keep talking about this man, why don't you take an African language for your language requirement at the university? So I did. I took Swahili. And I never really did anything with it. It was all kind of good intention, and I minored in African studies. But then I went through World Vision. I had the opportunity to go to Kenya, and when I met Moses, who was the head of all the development in this one region, Bartabwa, he says to me, Brother John, I would like to show you a PowerPoint presentation before we take any of your leaders out to the field to see the work. And I honestly thought, you're going to show me a PowerPoint presentation, brother? I mean, I just did 26 hours on airplanes, all right? We're all the way here. We're in Kenya. And you want to sit me down and show me a PowerPoint presentation. I was going through some tough stuff in my life personally at that time that connected to my own endurance, and not running endurance, but my endurance in ministry. You know, I was tired. I was sick, physically sick at that time. I wasn't fighting cancer or anything like that, but it was a big deal for me. What I was going through was related to my lungs and some other issues. And when he said that to me, I felt exhausted. And I heard God's voice speak to me. You sit down and you listen to this man. And I am sitting down where I took this picture. And he's about to begin his presentation. And I heard the Spirit say to me, this man is going to tell you how you do and why you do what you do. And he showed us a vision map that the community elders designed and drew. He kept knifing his hand at the map, and he said, I did not draw this map. This map is a vision map, a 50-kilometer by 50-kilometer map of what the community dreams of doing in the next 5, 10, and 12 years. All right? And then he put this slide up. And these are the questions. And I know this is a weird image to put up. It's not like beautiful, but I had to take a picture of his slide. So my slide is a slide of his slide, okay? These are the exact 8 questions that you have to have answered before World Vision even begins work. So we go in, and it's not white folks like me going to Africa and telling people what to do. We go in with indigenous leadership who find indigenous leaders in the community. They form leadership groups, and then they sit down and ask these questions. Who are we? What does it mean? Who is World Vision? What's it mean to be a Christian global poverty humanitarian organization? Next, who are you? Who are you, villagers? And that's when the story and the struggle of the villager comes out. One of those things that comes out is the number one killer on the planet is lack of access to clean water. It kills more people, takes more lives than HIV, AIDS, and malaria combined. And some of that is because of the drinking water. Some of that is because they don't have a safe place to wash hands and to get clean. Some of that is because they don't have a safe place to go to the bathroom. And so those stories begin to come out. 99% of the time when we do development, clean water is the number one thing the community says we need right now. And these questions guide us through all the way to the final question, which is, how do we transition? One day World Vision is going to exit. You are going to own your destiny. We're going to talk how we're going to do that now. So that way there's no colonialism happening here. That way it's in the minds of these leaders what is going to happen and how they're going to own it. And this is what we do. Like here, well, these are kids in Bartaba that were walking 10 kilometers round trip for dirty water that was killing them, and there was no bathrooms, and so they would what we call open air defecate, right? And we had the kids map out where they would do that, and then we showed them how those spots were next to other potentially tenable water sources, and how that was ruining those water sources. In fact, Joy, who's standing there later in this exercise, takes a bucket of water and washes it, and the chalk and everything goes together, and it kind of blows the kids' minds. And so a part of it is training the children what this looks like. And then we train the parents. These are parents who come together. They're a leadership team in Bartaba that help to plan, construct, and deliver the product of these water projects, which aren't like little wells for one family. They're massive projects. I mean, they look like projects we made in the States in the 40s and 50s. They're really big products that will last a minimum of 20 years. And I think this is my video. Is that right? I want to show you a little bit, and I'm going to keep on talking. I'm going to do color commentary on this video. I want to show you Moses in action. So go ahead and start that video. Now you're going to see, unless I need to click it, my fault. Okay, good. Okay, perfect. Now, this is my friend Jerry, who stands in the camera for some reason. I don't know why, but he's going to back away in a minute, okay? Moses is in the orange jacket. Now, he's just asked all the children in Boigutwa a question. Have you ever gotten sick from dirty water? And every child in the group has at least one time. So he invites down a young girl, Doreen. Now, notice Doreen covers her face because she's ashamed. Ashamed that she was sick. She's ashamed that she was in the group. Now, watch what Moses does. He gives her the preeminent place. He respectfully hushes the children. Watch. And then she gets a chance to speak. Now, you can't hear her audio. It's so quiet. But she says, once we walked far for water, now we don't. Thank you so much for the clean water. That's what she says. And then she's about to back away because she's done. And I want you to watch what Moses does when she tries to exit.
Let me ask you one question. So how has this water helped you?
He later told me that his entire mission in life is to pour worth back into these children so they're able to know who they are in Christ, and they're able to know that they're worthy to stand in a space like this and to speak to Westerners and to speak to their community. This is Johnny. My heart and my passion is to disciple these leaders. And these are, let's go to the next slide. You can stop that video. The video goes on. It's an amazing video, but it shows you the quality of the staff that we're working with. This is Ronald Amolo. He is on the left. He is a project engineer. This is Samuel Gamusa, my great friend, Barnabas. All the guys here in the Bartaba team, they are the best at what they do, and they all love Jesus. Ronald Amolo's favorite worship song is Change My Heart, Oh God, Make It Ever True. Do you remember that one? From the 80s, all right? Still rocking in Bartaba, all right? And this is Ronald breaking down how we do our work to Tracy Rivas, one of our leaders from Rancho Cucamonga, explaining how we can partner with the government and the local church and local private landowners in order to construct these history-changing projects. And here's one of them. Now, this is the slow sand filter. It's not the biggest, but it's my favorite project that Ronald's designed because it's 3 levels, and it's really cool. And you can walk and see all the levels. So the first level is that pond, which was a little muddy, little like puddle on the top of a mountainside. I mean, if you could just see the gradient, it goes straight down like this, right? These kids have to walk on this thing, and now no longer. But that pond, villagers went in, led by Ronald, and they dredged it out because they figured out it was spring-fed by 2 springs. And it became this massive lake, and they put a pipe in the middle of that lake. Villagers did this. That pipe piped down to that water tank and that water filtration system. That is called a slow sand filter. You use 1 tank a time, so 1 side at a time, and it filters using gravel, sand, fine sand, and microbiology, 576,000 cubic liters of water a day. It serves 10,000 people over a 10-kilometer by 10-kilometer region. And it's totally sustainable by local villagers. And while they're doing these projects, to kind of go back one, that's Sheila on the right checking her phone, and the gentleman on the left, which I wish I would have gotten his name, and I did not get his name. I asked Ronald, I said, boy, Sheila's on fire because she kept giving glory to Jesus for everything she's doing in his life. I said, is this gentleman following Jesus too? And he said, no, but soon. That's what he said. Well, the way we do this is while our villagers are doing the work, we have this I don't like calling it a program because it's massive, but this thing called Jesus, the Source of Living Water. It's a 90-page document written by our indigenous leaders in the field that uses every stage of the water project development process as an analogy for spiritual truth. Now, we don't make the villagers attend these gatherings, but we are constantly inviting them. That way they stay. It's kind of a mode where everybody stays involved, but everybody is constantly being invited. And that's how Sheila found Jesus. And she was walking a 20-kilometer round-trip walk, guys, every day for dirty water. That walk is the #1 source for rapes in Kenya because these women are so exposed. And children begin this walk at age 6. I'm out of time, and I'm going to wrap up this testimony shortly, but with a video. We're going to go straight to that last video, if that's okay. I covered everything I needed to cover. But one of the scriptures that's very close to our heart is this feeding of the 5,000. You know, it's a scripture where Jesus shows his heart to others. And if I could just give you a word. Can you raise your hand if you're doing this crazy race? Can you just raise your hand? And can y'all look around at how many people are around? Keep those hands up. Okay, put your hands down. These people who raised their hands, God invited them to do something, and they said yes. They said yes. And that is such a powerful thing when we say yes. When that little boy in John 6 gives his loaves and his fish, he had the opportunity. God spoke to him. He said yes. But so many of us, we want Jesus to take the loaves and the fish of our lives, and we want him to bless them. That's what he does. And in that story, he takes them and he blesses them. But then we resist when he wants to begin to break them. To break them. Well, I want you to run a race. Well, I'm not a runner. Well, I bet you most of these folks out here at one time were not runners either. Well, I want you to give to this. Well, I don't have the money right now. Well, we're going to hear about refugees in a little bit. I want you to open your heart up to the refugee crisis. I don't have space in my heart for that right now. God is saying, let me break you open. Let me open you up because I'm going to multiply what you've given me and give through the breaking, and it's going to touch more lives than you can possibly imagine. So one of the words that unifies our Team World Vision culture is the word yes, that we're a yes people and a yes culture, and we want to say yes to the calling God's put in our lives. So watch this video. Thank you for your time. You guys rock, and I'm so excited to see what he does through you in the next weeks.
In 2006, one man heard a divine whisper that he could help the most vulnerable kids in the world by running marathons. So he said yes. He felt God ask him to invite others into the same vision, so he did. Many people felt scared of the unknown. Fear prevailed, and they said no. But many people pushed through that fear, and they said yes. The first year, 100 people said yes. The next year, 400 said yes. Then 1,000, then 2,000. As people said yes to new challenges, and to changing the lives of kids and communities in Africa, their own lives started to change in drastic ways.
I started this year. This is my first year. I have only been out of a wheelchair for 2 years now.
In the beginning, I was like, my knees, I got too much weight, hold on. But I stuck with it.
And I just went all in. I thought, I'm 55, why not? Bev did it at 60, I'll do it at 55.
This has really brought me back, helped me recommit my life to the Lord, but also to those less fortunate.
And plus the goal of like bringing clean water, that's beautiful. So I was like, this is something I really want to do.
We really did a lot of training, just the two of us, and it was such a bonding moment of that time when your strength is faltering and the person next to you carries you through it.
Well, I've lost 75 pounds through this.
And I couldn't imagine my 7-year-old having to go run and get water for our family. So that's what keeps me motivated and focused.
I plan on running a marathon every single year until I die. Wow. We'll see how that happens or how that goes.
Over the last 10 years, over 25,000 people have joined Team World Vision, and they just keep saying that magic word, yes. Every one of those yeses also represents kids in Africa who get to say yes to life, yes to health, yes to an education, yes to hope. Hundreds of thousands of kids. Every movement, every revival, every revolution in the history of mankind has begun because someone said yes. They are yes people. We are yes people. You are one too. As long as there are children in this world without clean water, we will continue saying yes.